Welcome back, SethBling here, and I'm back on the MindCrack server. I am underneath my giant cave that I've been digging out, and well, I've cleared out the entire area underneath. So it should hopefully be for the entire area underneath the cave, which is way up there by about 10 to 15 blocks. It should be a flat ground on the ground and a flat ceiling, and hopefully there aren't any little cave spots in between. This is something I will have to fill in. It's a little bit sad for me to fill it in because of what could have been. Oh, what could have been. But that's what's in the future. Today, I need to get started on making those droppers so that they will drop all the items into the cave here. And if you recall last episode, I had a dropper that dropped a few coal over here. We're gonna try and expand that sort of thing out greatly and basically cover the entire cave with droppers from underneath that can drop items into the cave. So here's how I'm gonna go about doing that. I don't want to spend a bunch of time basically placing extra droppers beyond what I actually need. So let's actually get this on my hotbar. What I'm gonna do is I'm just basically gonna go around in a circle. And we'll go down. It's interesting. Wait, why? This is efficiency 5. I have haste 2. That was weird. Why was that slow? Was I using... Maybe I was probably using the Fortune Hunter. Anyway, so I'm down here. I'm just going to dig right... I'm going to go straight back up. And the last couple of... I guess probably the last 2, I'll just put stone back so that it's not so conspicuous. And then I'm gonna, haste 2, efficiency 5. Oh, I know what it is. The first one actually does go immediately. After that, I'm in the middle of the air, and when you're in the air, you kind of take a penalty to your mining speed. You mine half as fast. So anyway, we can see the first one that I dug out over there, and we're just gonna go right back up. So. Basically, this is just a way of marking out the territory that I need to cover with droppers. And so I'm gonna just basically go around and oh, interesting. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, this is another part of the cave. So this is actually where I want to label it. Okay, for a second I thought that my my underground area here didn't extend as far as it needed to, but it does. And in fact, I should have moved out a little bit. I will do that. 1, 2. So we'll move out a little bit so that we end up placing droppers here, so that some items can actually spawn in the cave here. And I'm going to go ahead and just try and mark that over here. So anyway, this is what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a little bit tedious, but as I've said, this project is going to be full of tedious little tasks. But my goal is just not to get too bored with with those tedia, plural of tedium. Which anyway, so there we go. This is going to form a kind of a better perimeter. But yeah, so you get the idea though. Let's put this here. And so where does this leave me? I think, yeah, at this point I still want to just go over here. So I'm not actually sure if this is going to lead into the cave right over here. I think maybe over here is where I want to go down. Ooh, gold. Don't mind if I do. And there's already, that's interesting, there's already some cobblestone here too. Probably from a cave that I already filled in. Okay, so yeah. So this will form a nice perimeter around where I need to go. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just take care of this. And once I feel like I've got a good perimeter, I'll come back and show you what I've got. And of course, after the last segment, I got suspicious that I might be making up words. And in fact, I was making up words. I was making up words. Tedium is a word. If you want to look this up for yourself, you can. But I'll save you the trouble. Tedium is a word. It's the state of being in having to do tedious stuff. Tedia, not a word. Just felt like I should clarify because someone somewhere on the internet would be displeased if they thought I'll grab that on the way back up. If they thought somebody somewhere on the internet was making up a word. So I wouldn't want anybody to be too displeased with me. So there we go. Problem fixed. Yeah. Well, that didn't actually take very long, but I kind of think the next part will. I've got my little circle of posts here underground that kind of tell me where I need to be. So as I go ahead here, the next step, of course, is to put in the droppers. I don't need this anymore. The next step here is to put in the droppers that are actually going to be pointing upwards and dispensing items up into the cave. So I have to decide how I'm going to go about this. And so, for instance, let's say I put a dropper right here facing upwards. This is like right at the wall. Hey, buddy. This is so this is right at the wall of the cave. So if it's facing upwards, half the time it's going to dispense things kind of tilted that way, as we saw in the previous episode. Sorry, that's not. Anyway. It doesn't shoot the items straight up. It's got a bit of a tilt to it, and so some of the time it's going to shoot them that direction, and they're just going to miss the cave entirely and just bubble up to the surface, which is desert, or maybe get caught in another cave. But anyway, so I don't really want that. I think what I'm going to do is try and keep it like 2 blocks in from the edge. It's not that important. It's just a waste of effort if I do extra work, and I think it's just important to try and reason out this sort of thing. So I've got this circle here. I need to pick somewhere to get started. I think I'm gonna get started over this direction, since this is the direction that's closest to spawn. Spawn is over that way, and I have sort of put I guess I could show you. I put a spot in the cave where I want it to be sort of like the spectating room, and also maybe a control room. And so I think it makes sense to start in that direction if I'm going to start placing down blocks. And that way, if I need to run a redstone line from the spectating room, which is going to be right there, into the controls, or into the redstone down here, that's where I want the whole thing to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over here, and I'm going to do... I think I've decided I'm going to do a grid that's every 4 blocks, kind of like Sky Grid. So I want to make sure that I can go all the way across wherever I pick, because there is this little platform in the way. Maybe I should get rid of that, but I don't know. So let's see. I guess I want to start about here. This is kind of arbitrary. And do it every 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to make a grid this way. I'm going to go across this way and then across this way, and then use those as kind of benchmarks to be able to easily place down blocks in a grid form. How am I going to go about placing down the droppers, though? Okay, so let's take a look at this for a moment. I need the droppers to face upwards, but the problem is it's actually pretty hard to get them to face upwards. Obviously, if I just put it right here, it's not facing upwards, it's facing towards me. If I put it on the ground, it's also not facing upwards. Even you can see I'm right up against it. Even if I place it, like right click, looking as far down as I can here, yeah, it's still not facing upwards, which means I do actually have to go up into the ceiling, which is pretty obnoxious, because it means for every single one of these I have to place, I'm gonna have to do like probably about this much, and then yeah, like that, and then I have to place those back in. So I'm gonna have to do that for every single one. There's gonna be probably hundreds of these things in total. I'm not going to craft all the droppers that I need, though, until I know how many I need. So here's my plan. Okay, so this is the first one. Let me get my inventory situated. I actually need more cobblestone than this. Or maybe I won't use cobblestone, because cobblestone doesn't have a lot of contrast. Maybe I'll use... Let's use wood. This dark oak. Well, do I have enough wood with me, though? You know what? I actually need... I think I need blocks. Well, no, I definitely have some blocks that'll work somewhere in here. But let's take a look. Should have planned this out better. I kind of forgot that I wanted to use a block other than cobblestone for this. But I should have some interesting blocks here. Maybe I'll just use granite, or like polished granite or something. Okay, so I've estimated, or I have a way to estimate at least, the the number of droppers I'll need. And the diameter here is about 90, and this way is also about 90. So let me just pull up my calculator. You guys can't see this, but I'm doing this. So it's the radius is 45 pi r squared. So 45 times 45 times 3.14. So the total area is about 6,300 blocks. And then I want to divide that by 16 because I'm using a 4x4 grid, which has an area of 16, which is 397.4. Okay, so I need about 400, probably about 400 droppers, maybe a little bit less, because I'm not going to go all the way out to the edge of the circle. But that's the kind of the preliminary amount. How many stacks is that? I should have kept my calculator open. 400 divided by 16 is 25 stacks exactly. Wow. That's a lot. I wasn't expecting that much. Okay, so let's get 25 stacks of polished granite into a chest somewhere. And I will use that as the benchmark for basically... Okay, so this is going to take a couple tricks. And I do have chests available to me over here. So I'm going to get a double chest. I'm going to put it over this way. And so, okay, so I'm going to have exactly 25 stacks. 64 times 25. Is that really... I can't believe it. 64 times 25. Wait, that's 1,600. I did something wrong. 400 divided by 64 is 6.25. That makes so much more sense. I didn't even like do any math in my head. Okay, I don't need this. Well, I'll just put this stuff here for now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with 7 stacks of this. Exactly 7 stacks on my inventory. I'll have extra stuff here, or we'll do 8 because then I can craft the polished granite easily without having extras left over. And so whatever is left over from 8 stacks is what I don't need to craft in terms of droppers. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have to place a lot of this polished granite. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully I'll get faster at this. But once I have a kind of a grid to work on in both directions, I won't have to like count it out as much. Probably I will probably just be able to judge based on the line next to me. Actually, probably don't even need to go in both directions. But it would be nice just to make sure that I don't mess up the grid, so I can actually have a way of verifying. Because like I already might have messed it up. Who knows? So yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of this, and I wish there was an easier way to place the droppers. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think this is what I have to deal with. I mean, sometimes there's like weird stuff, like if you have like a torch and you can just, you know, do something like this and it places it, but I just can't think of anything. So maybe if you guys can think of something, you let me know in the comments. I cannot let this... Okay. But in the meantime, I've got my work cut out for me, so I will come back to filming once I've got a grid laid out. Here's the technique I'm preferring right now. I just strafe and right-click whenever it lines up with the blocks in front of me. All right. 1, 2.5. So I used up 2.5, or I have 2.5 left. You'll notice I have some generous buffers here. I could choose to put one, say like right here if I wanted, but that would be right next to the wall. Anyway, 2.5 subtracted from 8 is 5.5, I believe. I think I did my math right. And 5.5, let's open up my calculator again. So 5 times 64 plus 32, 352 polished granite that I just placed. 352. So I need 352 dispensers, and I also need 352 repeaters. Maybe a little bit more. I think that should be fine though. But anyway, I need 5.5 stacks of each of droppers, not dispensers, droppers, and also of repeaters. The repeaters are actually going to cost me more because I have to use smooth stone for that. But 5.5 stacks. So what do I need? 16.5 stacks of smooth stone. I have that in my chest, so That's not so bad. So 5.5 stacks, and then I have to fill all those up. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit. All right, just finishing up the crafting here. This is actually kind of fun, being able to use an entire stack in place of just an item in a recipe. It's a little bit satisfying. It's a little bit satisfying. At the same time, I'm sad to see the supplies go. Just need like half a stack. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and so I'm going to use half a stack on each of these. And so I've got my repeaters. I've got my. All right, there we go. It's a little bit over half a stack. This should be enough. 5 stacks of repeater plus a little bit. 5 stacks of droppers plus a little bit. I've got plenty of redstone to connect everything together. Let's just get a couple of stacks up in here, but I'm not really concerned about running out of redstone. Okay, so that should be. Ooh, that's a lot of things. A lot of things that I have to place. First, let's get rid of this because it no longer belongs. It's not part of the grid. I have a system. And okay, so let's take a look at what this is going to look like. I'm going to need, let's see. So as I do this, I'm going to have to go up 2 blocks. Actually, probably want to use my fortune pick so that I don't end up. This is going to be a problem, isn't it? This is going to be a pretty bad problem if I can't figure out how to do this better. I think the problem is I was aiming. Oh. So okay, I need blocks on my hotbar so that I can place. Of course, I need blocks on my hotbar because I'm gonna have to place blocks up there anyway. So the first step is I just need to do this a bunch of times. So let's use my fortune pick again, and like that. Okay, and then all right. So that's what that procedure is gonna look like. As for the redstone, so I think the way I want to do it is something like this. Just have it all come from one point and kind of pass through the block as necessary. And so I'm gonna have to like for the first part here, I'm gonna have to like spread out the redstone signal this way. I'm gonna have to remove some torches, but then just going down a single line, it's gonna be, I guess, just like this. And this should be pretty fast to place. And then, let's get some actual redstone dust here. Let's see, so this is the origin point. I need 2 redstone dust in between everything. A lot of torches are going to have to move. Now, one consideration that I have here is that lighting updates actually slow the game down a lot. So if I put a torch next to the repeater, that will decrease the number of lighting updates. So we'll see how much effort it turns out to be. I might end up doing something like that, but in order to just make it not lag so much when the game starts. But I just want to do a little bit of this and then just test it. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure this is going to work, but I just want to see what it looks like and maybe hear some dispenser or droppers clicking. I come from a time before droppers. Back when dispensers were the only way we had to dispense items. This is nice though, because I'll be able to drop arrows up into the area up there. All right, and then do this because I just need any sort of block, and there we go. So it'll spread out. Since people won't be inside the arena when these go off, it's not like they'll see the spreading signal like this. And it's not like they'll see the items pop up because there's a render limit of 16 on items. Anyway, I now have, this is probably the most tedious part other than digging out the cave ahead of me now. I have to place a lot of these things and they're annoying to place. I wish I didn't have to do this, but the end result should be pretty cool. So we'll come back when I've made some progress. I've just had an idea. I didn't get through too many of them. When you're doing nothing but this, you have nothing to do but think of new ideas for how to get done better. Let's try jump boost. So let's see, jump boost 2. Okay, let's see what this does. I don't know if this is going to work like I want it to. Go up. So I am digging straight up. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have to mine as many blocks that way, which is nice. It is a little bit hard to aim, but I assume I'll get better at that over time. Let's try it a couple more times. It is a slight efficiency improvement. Yeah. Okay. I have to remember to put these back. Otherwise, the item will just go shooting off to the side as soon as it gets dispensed upward. Yeah, this will take some getting used to, but it does appear to be a bit faster. I'm actually surprised I'm hitting it as often as I am. I'm definitely going to mine straight into gravel several times, and it's going to be obnoxious. But, yeah, okay. Alright. Well, anyway, back to work. Look at that inventory. 9 droppers, 5 redstone repeaters. Used up like a stack of these redstone blocks. So let's test it. Okay, well, I can see some redstone turned on way over there. Let's like run down maybe. Yeah, I mean, it looks like everything's turning on, but this is not a good enough test because we don't know. Oh, I thought that was a person for a second. That really scared me because I was alone on the server. We don't know if there's several things we don't know. One is, what if there are some droppers that are not hooked up? The other thing we don't know is, are there cave systems that are preventing items from dispensing? So now we're ready to test. Alright, so I went through every single dropper and put exactly 16 items in them. So we got some sticks in these guys, more sticks, cobblestone. So for making, you could combine a stick into cobblestone to make a sword, obviously. String for bows, more cobble. What sort of stuff we got? Anyway, every single dropper here, every single dropper has exactly 16 items in it, which means when I press this button, not only will we see the items get dispensed up in the cave above, but also I'll be able to check here to make sure there's exactly one item missing from each of these, so I can tell which droppers didn't fire, if any didn't, and I can also, yeah. So okay, let's clear out my hotbar. I want to clear out my hotbar pretty much, and so any items I pick up will go into these slots. We should get, if everything went perfectly, we should get 5.5 stacks of items in my hotbar. Of course, there'll be some overflow because they're not all the same item type. Anyway, I'm gonna push this button and then I'm gonna run upstairs. You ready? Are you? Well, too bad. Okay. I heard a lot of dispensers fire. Sorry, droppers. Dang it. Thank goodness I don't have to. Okay, so we do have a couple things in here. That's expected. Oh, actually 5 is not really expected, so something didn't quite make it up. And there's some more stuff up here. A lot of arrows. I just happened to put a lot of arrows in those droppers. Okay, so that's kind of expected, that some of the stuff wouldn't make it all the way up because we need to fill in this room later. Otherwise, okay, well, this is why I kept my sword on my hotbar. Let's just start collecting. Okay, I think all the items have dried up. Took me a little while to be sure. Let me get somewhere a little bit safer, and we'll count the items in my inventory. Now, of course, the chicken is what I'm eating, so that's not going to quite add up. But let's kind of try and count up the things that... Whoops. I have my calculator open. Alright, so we have 48 arrows. More than a stack of string, 64 plus 8. 33 cobble, 54 sticks. That zombie flesh isn't anything. 47 chicken, 50 planks. So is that it? Yeah, I got all the string. Arrows. Where are my arrows? Oh, I already counted those. Okay, yeah, I think that's everything. So that's 304. The total that I just added up is 304, but did I miss something? I don't think I missed anything. So 304, which is kind of a lot less than the 360-ish that we had. But there were items left over that I didn't have a chance to get. It turns out this area is actually kind of bigger than it feels like it's not really possible to walk through the whole thing in 5 minutes. So that does mean, of course, that if you're playing this game, even though there's items littered everywhere, you have to be quick about grabbing them, especially given the fact that there's going to be mobs chasing you down, because all this will be dark. And so it's I think the fact that I have all these items is not kind of indicative of what's going to happen during a game. And of course, there'll be more randomness. There'll be more items in those dispensers. I'm going to have to spend a bunch of time and fill these up a bit more. I will also, after the video, after I hit the stop recording button, just make sure that all these have 15 items left in them. Looks like they're pretty good, though. I think probably all the items did get dispensed. I do wonder how many of them got caught in like little caves or whatever. It's going to be a little bit hard to tell. Anyway, that will do it for this episode. I made some good progress. Did a lot of that tedium. I don't think that's right. Anyway, I think next we need to probably start working on making it, well, basically adding entrances for the players and making it so that it can work as a game. And then the last thing is going to be just, well, decorating this whole place. And that's going to be a huge effort in itself. Plus, I need to add more items to the dispensers. The droppers. The droppers. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching.